Hello, everyone, and welcome to the RedFlex. This is your official Manchester United versus Sheffield United preview. We're here having dispatched the old enemy, absolutely whooped them. Absolutely whooped them. And now we're back to more important games. Obviously, it was all right. But it wasn't anything, I wasn't really that stressed about that game. I wasn't really worried about what would happen. This is the one that means something. Can you imagine? Sheffield United match, more important, more on the line than a match between Manchester United and Liverpool. How the times have changed. But yeah, it's an important game for us, Cass. How are you feeling about it? Have you found this new thing that I've got where every game is just means something now? Different.
Yeah, I think we're right in the mix of it. Top versus bottom. You could call it David versus Goliath. These kind of games, I think you're probably right. Previously, these kind of games, there's always been a bit of, you have the feeling of what Man United are going to turn up. You're not quite sure of which Manchester United are going to perform. But after a long, long time, you feel like you can trust Manchester United again. And I think that's the most important thing, that trust element from the fans. And I think they're starting to trust themselves as well. And this is the perfect example of a game where, we've seen it previously under Sir Alex, where most of these games, these caliber games, we know that it's not if we're going to win, it's by how many are we going to win. And I feel like that feeling, not 100%, but I think that kind of feeling, that kind of arrogance, that kind of ego is slowly but surely creeping back in, and I'm loving it. I'm enjoying every single second of it.
So, no fresh injury concerns as per Ollie's press conference. Thankfully, Marcus Rashford is fit and available, and after his performance where he schooled a very inexperienced right back called Trent Alexander-Arnold, absolutely took him to the shops, took him everywhere, really, had him in his pocket. I think it was important for him to be fit, even though he may not be himself in his best form. But I think that out of the options available for the left wing, I think he is the man for now. And it's important for him to be fit. How important do you think he's going to be in this game if he's selected?
You're never quite sure what Ollie's going to do. But I kind of explain it as the curious case of Marcus Rashford. So there's so much things that have been said about Marcus Rashford, myself included. I think Marcus Rashford at times has shown glimpses. I think we can all agree. He's shown glimpses that he could be that player with the X factor. He could be that special player. And I had a conversation with my friend about it. Interested to see what you think as well, Lucy. But at times he's done things, and you could say that he could even go as far as saying that he could be our Ronaldo. He has done some unbelievable things. I watched a video of his goals for Manchester United over the last few years. Free kick against Chelsea, some of the control, some of the skills, the pace. At times his finishing, which comes into question, has been great. And then at times you think, push on, go that extra 10, 15% and become our Cristiano Ronaldo. But then I think the problem with Marcus Rashford is that it goes from one extreme to another, because he could be the best player on the pitch. You could think, wow, this player, he's the real deal. But then the next game, you ask the question, is Marcus playing? Where is Marcus?
So doesn't that make him more of our Nani rather than our Cristiano Ronaldo?
Absolutely. I think previously I referred to him as Danny Welbeck, the modern day Danny Welbeck. However, I'll say it in front of everyone, I was wrong with that one. He's not Danny Welbeck. He's far more gifted. He has more ability, and he'll have a more successful career than Danny Welbeck. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to Danny Welbeck. But I just can't. I think if you ask Man United fans what you want,
it just frustrates you because you can see there when he's doing his tricks and his flicks, you just think, you know what? run at people. He's taking people on for fun. And then the next game, he's like not passing it to Cavani and doing odd, strange things. But I don't know. He is important for us, whether he kicks on to be this consistent Cristiano. Well, maybe not Cristiano, but as in that mold for us, how important Cristiano was. Or whether he's going to be one of these nanny where on his day he's world class. And then on another day, he just kind of, average. But speaking of world class, obviously Bruno Fernandes, I think we can put him in there now. I think it's not a fluke anymore. I don't think anyone can say, it's just a spell of form. It's just this, that, and the other. I think I would comfortably put him in the world class bracket for us. Maybe in a different team, he might not be. For what he's doing for Man United, the numbers he's putting up for Man United, I think is world class. But anyway, back to normal, back to usual service for you when it comes to Bruno Fernandes back in the starting lineup.
Absolutely, I think the Liverpool game was the perfect example. When we brought on Fred and we brought on Bruno Fernandes, it changed the game completely, I thought. And if there was one question mark over Bruno Fernandes, and it sounds ridiculous to even say it because, he went through a couple of games where he wasn't an amazing player. And
he
it's
gave me
not
no
realistic.
points in FPL. Gave me no FPL points.
How are you getting on in your fantasy?
Doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. I'm top of my league at the moment.
Mid-table charge, or is it?
No. I'm top of the table. I'm top of the table.
Top of the table.
Top of the table. Me. You know how it is. Tactical masterclass. Tactical masterclass from
down
me.
The wings and across into the box.
Yeah, no, just my selection of players. My selection of players week on week in FPL has brought me to the summit. But let's not talk about that. Obviously, it's just letting you know the caliber of presenter that I am. That I'm an FPL legend. So when I talk about tactics, players should listen to me.
No, I have absolutely no doubts whatsoever with that. But with Fernandes, he is world class. I've been saying it in previous videos. He will eventually have a statue outside Old Trafford. That's the amount of influence that Bruno Fernandes has. And it's not even about goals or assists, because if you look at the stats actually support what I'm saying. He's had the most goal involvement in terms of goals and assists since he's joined the Premier League. So this isn't a kind of Man United bias or we just think Bruno Fernandes is the best player. It's factual information, but it's just the influence he has. He makes other players better with what he does, and that's something that you can't buy and you just can't teach, in my opinion.
Before we go on to who you think or what you think the starting lineup should be, do you think Sheffield United pose any threats to us? I mean, I know that their form has been abysmal, let's be honest, but I think in the last few games there was some sort of signs of a sort of mini revival. They've had very tough games. They've played like Spurs and things like that, but they did have a good victory against Newcastle. Newcastle, I admit, are not in the greatest form themselves, but the score, even though they're losing, they're managing to still score the odd goal here and there. They're creating a little bit, but do you think that's enough?
I think it's quite tough for Sheffield United for very quickly focus on them. One win in 19 games. The writing is on the wall for them. It'll be a massive achievement for them to survive this year. But if I think back to the game at Bramall Lane, I think that was one of the earlier games in the run that we've gone on. And I think we won that game 3-2. So they caused us problems at Bramall Lane. Whether or not they're going to come to Old Trafford, what kind of mindset they're going to come in. If I was them, you might as well have a go. That's probably your best bet to cause Man United problems this season. But I don't think they will do that. I think they will be very resilient, 2 banks of 4, even if probably a back 5. And they'll probably look to hit us on the counter. But if they do that, I think Man United have found a way to rise above this now. And I think it has been a problem, and it still probably will. You might see a few games here and there that we might struggle, but I think with Pogba, with Fernandes, and if we get the right Marcus Rashford, there's too much for Sheffield United to cope with. And I'm expecting quite a comfortable victory. And I know you're always a little bit nervous when you say that, but I am expecting a comfortable victory at Old Trafford.
Okay, so you alluded to the fact that Sheffield United were going to play a low block potentially. Well, I think obviously every point is, a bonus for them at the moment, especially with having played Tottenham. I think they're playing us and then maybe Chelsea or Arsenal next. So, 3 losses could be, almost end of their season. So they will be scrapping for every point that they can get. So if they do go for the low block, talking about the low block, who do you think should be our starting lineup to combat that?
I think we now have established very quickly that even Solskjaer has understood that if in a game we want to kind of contain the opposition, not all out of defence, but if we want to contain, certain strengths and characteristics of a team, he then usually prefers to play Lindelof, coupled with the fact that I think his back is knackered. I think they're trying to manage.
That he normally plays Lindelof when we're going to defend deep. And I personally think that we're not going to defend deep because I don't think they have.
That's what I think. I think Bailly's going to start.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he always plays Bailly when we're, looking to play a higher line because obviously he's got the extra pace. So, so you're going for Bailly with obviously Maguire. And what else?
Yeah. You would probably say Tellez just because to protect Shaw because he's in great run of form. But then the other side of me and probably what Solskjaer's thinking as well, the fact that he started against Liverpool is let's just play him and let's ride this momentum that Luke Shaw's going on because he's been one of our best players for a number of games now. The threat that he's been causing on the left-hand side, it's been immense. And if you compare it to the right-hand side, it's day and night. That is where our threat is coming from. And I still think you can't fully trust Manchester United at the moment. And that's obviously because of what's happened before. So it would be a major risk if you take Luke Shaw out of the team just because of what he offers going forward. I think something that made me laugh in the last game was even the commentator against Liverpool said Luke Shaw is everywhere. And that's just an example of what kind of performance.
Well, don't you think that it's an opportunity to rest him if he does need a rest? Because if you, the main form, I understand that Luke Shaw going forward has been great, which he hasn't been previously, but it's mainly his defensive. Like he had, Mo Salah in his pocket in the 0-0. Obviously, Mo Salah got some goals in this game, but in that 0-0 draw, he absolutely had him in his pocket.
Yeah.
Whereas in this game, I don't think that defensive responsibility is going to be that important. So potentially having a Tellez who is good going forward anyway, he's probably more known for that than his defensive work. Do you think it's easier to bring Tellez in for this game? Because we're expecting not to have much defensive work. And even if we do have, they don't have that marquee player playing on that right-hand side against Tellez.
No, absolutely. Valid point. I think we should have enough elsewhere in the team to cause Sheffield United problems, massive problems. I think obviously Luke Shaw would add to that, but if you replace him with Tellez, I don't think the gap in quality is as big as from Luke Shaw to Brandon Williams compared to Luke Shaw and Tellez. I think Tellez is obviously experienced, he's accomplished. He will give you, at least
he's a
6 out of 10.
International, yeah.
So very, very able deputy for Luke Shaw. So I don't think the game is going to hinge on that decision. But if Ole thinks Shaw needs a rest, then you probably won't get a better opportunity.
Yeah.
But
going back to your starting 11, just quickly run through what you think should be the starting 11 if it was you.
Yeah. So I think David De Gea will come back in. Luke Shaw will probably be rested. Tellez, Harry Maguire seems to start all the games with Bailly. We don't have another right back, so I think it probably will be Wan-Bissaka unless he wants to throw Tuanzebe, but I don't think he will do that. In midfield, I think he will go for Fred. I think he will go for Pogba and obviously Bruno Fernandes. But obviously Fred could easily be interchanged with Matic or McTominay. Donny van de Beek won't be starting this game, that's for sure. And the front three, I'm hoping for Greenwood. Let's see if he can, accelerate. Maybe that goal might open some floodgates. And then up front, again, I would like to see Edison Cavani And on the left-hand side, if Rashford is fit, I'd like to see him, because I think that attack looked a little bit more all-rounded. It looked a little bit more balanced compared to other front threes or other kind of things he's tried.
Okay, so Soom's watching, and he thinks that it should be BeIN Tuanzebe playing. Obviously, centre back and right back, respectively. Or I don't know if he means that they should be playing as a centre back pairing, but I doubt that will be the case. And he also says that he wants Martial to play, give him another chance. So going back to the fact that I think that I'll give you mine. I think that they will play a low block. So in that case, I would probably like us to play as many creative players or players who have the potential to, make a goal out of nothing, create themselves a chance, or when the odd chance is presented for it to be finished. So bearing that in mind, and also the fact that, I'm not expecting us to do that much defensive work. But having said that, Sheffield United tend to play a 3-5-2, and over the years, Man United have struggled against a 3-5-2. You can look at Wolves as a prime example. Every time we play Wolves, we tend to struggle. And this time, obviously, we just about got the win with a deflected Marcus Rashford effort. So I think that there is a problem with us playing a 3-5-2. Obviously, our form has improved slightly since we had that 1-0 victory against Wolves. But then again, it wasn't even that long ago. So for me, looking at that, trying to get as many creative players in the mix as possible, I think it will still be Henderson, because Ole likes to, a little bit of sentiment. And obviously he played him against them last time. I think he will play him again.
He needs
this
to right
time.
the wrongs. He needs to right the wrongs of last game as well.
It's a good opportunity for him to get some more games. Obviously, I think that with the FA Cup and the Europe resuming, trying to get him match time before, he needs to be called up. So I think just for the case of sentiment and the fact that, his ex-team, etc., I think he probably may put him back in. I'm expecting Tellez at left wing back. I'm expecting Harry Maguire. I am expecting Bailly. Like you said, due to the lack of options, I think the right back will be Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I would like to see Matic play, because I think that if you were to play one holding midfielder or defensive midfielder, I think he does that better than anyone else. Just so Pogba has slightly more license to go forward. I think that with anyone else next to Pogba still needs to put in a little bit of work, because the other person's not that competent. Not competent, but, doesn't have that defensive mind. Because what we see when Matic plays all the time is everyone streams forward and he tends to drift back and play as the third centre back, which gives license for everyone else to go forward. So I think because of the fact that we need to be attacking as possible, I think he will play Matic. So it'll be Matic, Pogba, Bruno. I think I'd like to see the same front three again. Marcus Rashford has form. Mason Greenwood has form. They're young. They don't need resting. Unless there is any niggles left with Marcus Rashford with his knee, I fully expect him to play, and I would continue with Edison Cavani up front due to the fact that he is a poacher and he will be in the right place where we need him to, and he's got the ability to run. He probably doesn't need to do as much link-up play, as Martial does. In this game, it's just all going to be about let's get it forward and do what we can do. We definitely cannot afford any complacency in this game. So I think everyone knows now. I think the fans feel it as much as the players will feel it, that every single league game now means something. It's not sort of, it's only Sheffield, etc. So is Rashi injured? What did Ole say? Ole said he's okay. So reports are Marcus Rashford is fit to play. Whether he's fit to start, obviously Ole didn't give too much away, but he did say that Marcus Rashford is available for the game. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. So that's how I'd like to see it. Matic drops back when needed and everyone else just kind of piles forward, and hopefully we break them down. They do pose threats, again, with their formation and with the fact that McGoldrick tends to always score against the big teams. So we do need to keep an eye on him. But other than that, I think we're set up well to do what we're doing. We'll have Van der Beek off the bench. You know, he's got that passing and he's got that creativity if we are struggling late on. But I fully expect us not to be. If Cass, you said that you expect it to be quite comfortable. If, for example, say we're like 2-0 up and there's 10 minutes left on the clock and we're strolling through the game, do you think there's any chance of Amad Diallo having a little run?
Yeah, just from a personal point of view, he's come with a big price tag, fans excited, fans rushing to YouTube and trying to find any kind of glimpses of videos, a few little videos circulating that he scored a brilliant goal in training today. So these kind of little things make you wonder that, is he the answer to a problem that we've had for quite a long time, and that's filling the right wing position. We're not comfortable there. I don't think the players that we've got are fully comfortable. Whether or not he is the answer, it's probably too soon to say, even if he does play, because at the end of the day, he's 18 years old, a young guy coming from Atalanta, but he comes with massive reputation in terms of his speed, in terms of his dribbling. So I want to see, what this hype is all about. Without putting too much pressure on his shoulders, I would love to see a little cameo from him. And you never know, he could be the missing link. You just never know. It is a strange season. It could be this one little signing that changes everything.
To be fair, my take on the Amad Diallo situation is that because we bought Amad Diallo, I think that we're not in the race for Sancho anymore. We now have potentially 3 players, all very young, who can maybe, even if they rotate that right wing role, so whether you're looking at Pellistri, whether you're looking at Diallo, whether you're looking at Mason Greenwood, even Mata, if he's still around next season, they're all going to rotate. They can potentially rotate that right wing, and whoever's having the best game can obviously stake their claim for that shirt. So the fact that we've got so many options on the right, I just don't think it's going to be a possibility for us to go for Jadon Sancho, unless something really dramatic happens where Martial leaves. That's the only way I can say we're getting Sancho, because obviously Sancho can play 10, he can play right wing, he can play left wing. So the only way he can obviously come in for a slot without kicking out Mason Greenwood, without kicking out Amad Diallo, is only if he's got an option where he can play somewhere else. He's never going to play 10 as long as Bruno's there. So it's just the left and right wing position. So I personally think the Sancho situation is dead. I don't think we'll be going for Sancho.
You can still have 2 positions for kind of each. We usually play 3 up front. Obviously, I think potentially Rashford and Martial could interchange for the left wing spot.
Yeah.
Cavani's obviously there. Greenwood could transition from the right.
I don't think he's ready for the centre yet. Physically, I don't think he's right for that yet.
It seems a little bit early, but I think ideally Solskjaer would want Greenwood to play up front.
Yeah, that's obviously something for later on down the line, but that's my little take on that situation. I think personally we're probably either going to go for a central midfielder, or potentially he might even put all his eggs in his basket and then go for the striker instead. Might go for Haaland. Just keep one Mino or Raiola player going. I don't know. On a side note, obviously, I saw Fabrizio Romano. He was talking on Rio Ferdinand's podcast, and he was talking about the fact that Paul Pogba's agent is very much actively, sorry to put a downer on things, but he's very much actively looking to get Pogba out of the club this season, no matter what happens. So that's where I think potentially
Barcelona are in the mire, Real Madrid in the mire, financially crippled. Bayern Munich probably not in for him. PSG, would you want to go to PSG and play maybe
Paris.
7 games a season?
He's from Paris.
Play only 7-8 games a season that matter, really, if you think about it. French league,
isn't it? Paycheck, but
it's a paycheck. But for
his
some reason,
dream is Real Madrid. His dream is Real Madrid. The problem that we have is that he's got 1 year left on his contract. United going to want as much as possible. Real Madrid going to want to pay as least as possible. So it's literally what you know what United tried to do with Sancho, where they're like, oh, let's leave it to last minute, let's leave it to last minute, let's leave it to last minute and see who blinks first. That's going to be the situation because Pogba's not signing a new contract. And if he does not go this summer, he's going to leave for free. So I think Real Madrid are going to wait till the very last second and say, look, here's 40 mil or here's 50 mil. Take it or leave it. Otherwise, we're happy to wait 12 months and we'll get him for free because we know Pogba wants to join us. So that's going to be a very, very difficult situation for Manchester United in the coming window because of this Paul Pogba situation. Ideally, you want to try and get 60, 70, but I personally think it's going to be the 40, 50 mil mark. It may also spell the end for any player who is linked with Mino Raiola to play for Man United, which may give Haaland a problem. Or Man United might think we're only going to deal with one Mino Raiola player at a time. So then it could be sort of Pogba out, Haaland in sort of situation. But anyway, going back to the game, Sheffield United versus Manchester United is tomorrow. Thoroughly expect Man United to do the business here. Sumke was like, side note, opinions on Lampard sacking and changing offside rule mid-season, which would have ruled out Silva goal against Villa. I'm not a fan of changing the rules midway through the season, but if it improves the game, obviously there's certain things which it was blatant. The City goal against Villa was absolutely blatant offside. I think Villa probably switched off a little bit, knowing that was so obviously coming back from an offside position. But Cass, you want any words on the Lampard sacking?
Yeah, I think from a personal point of view, the first thing that I want to say is every time I used to see Frank Lampard after a game, it made me feel really old. I really thought, is this the same guy that I've been watching for all these years? He's now a manager. Well, that's just a side note.
His full career, you've seen him, yeah.
Full career I've seen.
You've seen his full career, yeah.
And I'm like, this is what people mean when they say, oh, I remember this player back in the day. He did this, he did that. At the time, you're like, oh, whatever. You know, he's going down memory lane. But I feel like that's happening to me now. And
and Rooney. And Rooney.
And Rooney.
Yeah, my first ever time Old Trafford was Rooney's debut. 6-3 Fenerbahce. And now he was at 18 then. Now he's fully finished his career, fully finished it. And now he's a manager as well. So, yeah, I completely get where you're coming from when you say that.
So it kind of vanished with a blink of an eye. But to answer the question, if you put it in context, Frank Lampard had one okay season at Derby. I don't think they got promoted. I think they lost in the final. So it was okay. He couldn't turn down the Chelsea job because you just couldn't because you're Frank Lampard. But there was a lot of backing, especially I think Simon Jordan referred to Frank Lampard as an elite coach, as an elite manager who would go on to do far greater things than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So I think that one's kind of bit him of the unit there.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The fact that he's, a legendary English player adds to that a little bit of hype in terms of his managerial credentials. But that's what Chelsea do. It's not a surprise. Bigger managers have been sacked and bigger managers will be sacked going forwards.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's not a surprise.
I think after the money that he'd spent this season, or whether it was him or whether the club, whatever, 220 odd million, if you spent that kind of money, then you have to be doing better. I mean, they're only 4 points off. I think it's 4 or 5 points off the top four, but they're close to Leeds. They're closer to Leeds and Arsenal and teams like that. And when you spent that much money, made so many marquee signings, it's just not on. And I think the reason they've probably done it now is because they're only 5 points off and they're still in the Champions League. Probably now was the right time to do it because, Tuchel could come in and still salvage that season and still squeeze them into fourth. Whereas they thought, according to them, that Frank Lampard was taking them down. So it is what it is when it comes to that. But the most anticipated point of the whole podcast where everyone gets ready to make some money, Cass, prediction time.
So I've said that it's going to be a comfortable evening, hopefully, for Manchester United fans, including myself. I am going to go for Manchester United 3, Sheffield United 0.
3-0. Very confident. just a quick question here. Is there any update of incomings in this transfer window? So yeah, according to Fabrizio Romano, he said that Man United are not in any negotiations for any player currently. They are on standby should the right player come along. But I'm pretty confident that if the right player isn't shown themselves to be available now, I think it's going to be very unlikely they're going to make any signings. I would have liked to have seen some signings. I would have liked to have seen, another option at centre-back potentially, or maybe, defensive midfielder specialist. But for the kind of quality that we're expecting, I don't think we're finding that person in the January transfer window. Upamecano, if it was me, because he's got a 37 million release clause, I'd have probably thrown 45, 50 mil at them and said, look, let's not wait till summer. Let's get the deal done now. But for all the reports coming out of Germany at the moment, he's pretty much fixed to go to Bayern Munich. And once Bayern Munich are involved for a German-based player, I think it's game over. But going back to what I think is going to be the final score, I think it's going to be pretty not comfortable, but I think we're going to get the job done. I think it's going to be a 2-0 to Man United. I think, they're going to be resolute at this for long periods of this game. I think they're going to frustrate us. I think we're going to score 1. Then as the game opens up, as they try to, maybe secure an equalizer, we'll probably hit them on the break and get number 2. So yeah, 2-0 for me against Sheffield United. But any final words before we go, Cass? I think there's time to wrap it up.
Yeah, so the only thing that I was going to say is Man City are playing West Brom today, 8:15. Let's get our fingers crossed, toes crossed, and let's hope for a slip-up and we'll be in a position where we can extend our Premier League lead at the top of the table.
I'd like Pep calling Allardyce a genius. I want that to come true today. So I want to see some Allardyce stardust in getting some sort of 0-0 or something like that, which he's fully capable of doing. So yeah, fingers crossed for that game. But looking forward to Manchester United against Sheffield United tomorrow. We'll be back straight after the game with our match review, hopefully celebrating a Manchester United victory. But thanks for watching. If you haven't already, make sure you please like the stream before you go. It doesn't cost you anything, but makes a big difference to us. And also, please leave your comments down below. And if you haven't already, most importantly, is please subscribe and support us further. We're also available on Twitter and Instagram, as you can see on screen. We're also streaming on Twitch. We're also streaming on Twitter as well. So we're everywhere. There is no excuse to miss anything to do with the RedFlex. So we'll see you straight after the game tomorrow. So thank you very much, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.